and good morning. It is Halloween week. My name is Desi. We're sitting down chatting about all things Halloween and spooky, consuming all of the pumpkin spice before it goes away. We're not thinking about that. You guys sent in a ton of questions and I love sitting down and doing this with you guys. I did it a few years ago and I thought, well, why not bring it back, because I loved the questions you guys sent in. So let's just get started. How is autumn different for you this year being in a new state? We lived in Utah and we just moved to Rhode Island. The main difference that I've noticed is that the foliage peaks in Utah like end of September, early October. Here in Rhode Island, I would say we haven't started seeing peak colors until October 20th. So fall just seems to arrive a bit later here, but it's beautiful, so it's worth it. What's the best autumnal thing you've experienced on the East Coast so far? Definitely the pumpkin walls. Stone walls here are a thing and they're so beautiful. I love them. It makes me feel like I'm in England walking around Jane Austen's house. Like I'm obsessed with them. And people put pumpkins on them in front of their house, in front of their shops. And it's so cute and so quaint. And it just makes me so happy every time I see it. It's just like a cultural thing here that people do. It's so cute. I love it. Is Salem worth going to from the UK? I think, yeah, I think it's definitely worth it. Just go in knowing that it's gonna be crowded, especially if you go anytime September, October. But there's so much history, and seeing the Hocus Pocus filming locations in person, like, I think it's definitely worth it if you're a Halloween person. It's so much fun. It might seem overrated or overhyped, but I personally think it's worth it. The shops are amazing. Everybody's dressed up. It's different than just visiting a town or a city. Yeah, it's like an immersive experience. Just make sure to get outside of the town a little bit, go to the cemeteries and the historical locations, or else you might get overwhelmed by the amount of people. Okay, what's the most paranormal event that happened to you? Story time. I really only have one event and I've shared it before, but I'll share it again for those of you who have not seen that video. Me and Jared were staying in a castle in Ireland for our Halloween week, and we were out one evening. It was past sunset, it was getting quite late, it was really cold, and we were walking around a cemetery that we had seen on the side of the road on the way to grab some dinner at a grocery store. We just decided that since we were staying at a castle that was known to be partially like haunted in one wing of the castle, that we should just romanticize the experience even more and wonder if anything spooky might happen in a graveyard. So we went out, and we had previously been the night before at a jail that was haunted in Belfast, and the guy who was doing the tour told us that sometimes if you take out your phone and you take a picture with a flash on, you can see apparitions or dust particles forming certain ways that look like spirits. And so I was like, let's just do it. Let's just take some pictures and see, you know, if we see anything. Just fun. We were like giggling and we took these pictures, and it was really cold, so we didn't spend too much time. We got back in the car, Jared started driving, and I started looking through the pictures and I gasped. Jared stopped and he was like, what? And I showed him this picture. And I don't know, like there were a lot of trees and bushes and there was some mist as well, like some fog. I don't know what it was. You guys tell me. The picture is super grainy. That's the only thing I could think of. Thankfully, I haven't had any other spooky paranormal experiences. Okay, what are your favorite rituals to do on Halloween day? Love the joy you bring us. Thank you. We usually go to a local bakery and get pumpkin donuts, and then we go for a drive or a walk and look at all of our neighbors' Halloween decorations. I love doing this. It makes me feel like I'm in Halloween town. It just kind of sets the tone for Halloween day. You get all these spooky decorations first thing in your brain, and it's just fun. And then in the evening, we always do a marathon of either Scream or some sort of Halloween movie series that we can watch, like the first one, the second one, the third one back to back, and we get ourselves a bunch of candy. We've never lived where we've had trick-or-treaters, so we always just kind of cozy up, have a night in, but I guess I shouldn't say cozy up because we try to scare ourselves with the movies we watch. What's the spookiest movie you've watched this season? I just watched The Witch for the first time with Anya Taylor-Joy. I was expecting it to be very atmospheric and a bit grotesque. It's a horror film, so I was expecting it, but that movie was a lot to handle, but it was in a good way. But also in a way that made me close my eyes and feel like really afterwards. But it was good. So I guess it set out what it meant to do. Yeah, definitely spooky. The vibes were immaculate though. Okay, if you could go trick-or-treating with one fictional character, dead or alive, who would it be? I love this question. I'm pretty sure I've answered this before actually, but it's always going to be, it will forever be Anne Shirley Cuthbert, our girl Anne of Green Gables, who romanticizes every little detail of her life. We'd be singing songs and like skipping along the way, and it would be such a fun time. We'd also probably end the night doing something really fun, like making a fort, spilling out all of our candy, divvying it out, you know, trading and watching a good movie. Anne is my girl for sure. What was your favorite childhood Halloween costume and what is your dream costume? I've also shared this before, but when I think I was 6 or 7, I dressed up as Rose from Titanic. To this day, I am so proud of little me, who chose out of all of the things, all of the characters that she watched that year, and she chose Rose. I even got this replica of the Heart of the Ocean from like JCPenney or Macy's because my outfit just wasn't complete without it. I love that. And a dream costume would probably be the pumpkin people from Over the Garden Wall. A really intricate, detailed costume of the pumpkin people. I don't know the details yet, but that is something I want to do, like with me and Jared. I think that'd be so cool. We could even have D'Artagnan dress up too. We could be like a big pumpkin family. If you were to spend Halloween in another country, which country and why? I think Ireland. I have been there during Halloween and it was amazing, but I feel like we were only there for a couple days and we didn't get to experience it to its fullest. Especially we were in Londonderry, which just goes all out for Halloween. Actually, that's Northern Ireland, sorry. But then we went down to Ireland as well. So I'd love to spend it between like Northern Ireland, and go to all of the events. There was like a haunted ball that we didn't go to. You can go, you pay for a seat, you have dinner, and then there's dancing and you're dressed up in costumes. I want to go do all of those things, and there were so many more ghost tours, and it was amazing. I would love to go to Mexico too. The best spooky movies for a Halloween marathon. I would say get some candy, get some blankets, turn off all of your lights and watch Scream. You gotta watch multiple of the movies because Scream is a slasher film, yes, scary film, yes, but it's also a mystery film. You're trying to figure out with the characters who the killer is. I'm not a big fan of scary movies, like scary movies, jump scares, not my thing. But Scream is where it's at. I have literally taken notes on my phone while watching those movies before, trying to figure out who the killer is. It's like an Agatha Christie movie, but with a bit more blood and gore. But the mystery is there. Okay, there's not a detective, but okay, maybe it's really not like Agatha Christie, but it's fun. It's a fun mystery. On par with the last question, do you hide during suspenseful parts of scary movies or watch it all? We have a window next to our couch, and I'll turn and watch the movie reflection out of the window because something about seeing it in the reflection and not looking directly at the TV makes it less scary. So I just turn and kind of watch it out of there, and then as soon as it's done, I'll look back at the TV. I don't know the psychology behind that, but it's less scary that way. If it's too scary though, yes, I will definitely close my eyes, but honestly that makes it more fun. Makes it more fun to kind of watch it through your fingers. Before we continue, I want to say a very big thank you to the sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. We are heading into that time of year that can be tough. The days are getting darker earlier. I really am enjoying the coziness of the evenings, but I know that we are taking steps closer to seasonal depression season. Therapy has played a huge part in helping me work through those days that I feel really low. So let me tell you a little bit about BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and to give you helpful, unbiased advice and feedback. Starting therapy can be hard. I totally get that. The right therapist for you may not be available in your area locally. And some people find the face-to-face interaction of therapy uncomfortable, which I also personally relate to. So with BetterHelp, you can have your therapy sessions as a phone call or a video call, or you can even just text your therapist. Whatever is the the most comfortable version of therapy for you. BetterHelp can match you with one of over 30,000 therapists in their network, which gives you access to a wide range of expertise. To get started, you just fill out a little questionnaire to help assess your specific needs, and then you get matched with your therapist in most cases within 48 hours or less. After that, you'll be able to schedule therapy sessions at a time that's convenient for you. And if the therapist you're first matched with doesn't really vibe with you, you can easily switch to another therapist at no extra cost, not having to worry about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. If you do feel like you've been struggling, I do just highly recommend looking into therapy. Just like people go to the gym, we spend time on keeping our bodies healthy. Why not give our mind the same time and attention? Over 4 million people have used BetterHelp to start living a happier and healthier life. If you think you might benefit from therapy, consider BetterHelp. You can click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Desi. Clicking on that link supports this channel, but also gives you a 10% off discount for your first month of BetterHelp, so you can connect with a therapist and see if it's helpful to you. Thank you again so much to BetterHelp for supporting my channel and sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the Q&A. I love this next question because this is so me. Would you move to a town because the autumn/Halloween vibe is so good? Honestly, we have like 2 criteria. The trick-or-treating has to be good, and they have to go all out with Halloween. So if we're in like a really rural neighborhood, sometimes we'll think like, oh, the trick-or-treating wouldn't be very good here. If we decorated our house or our front porch, would anybody see it? Would we get trick-or-treaters? So actually, yes. We might consider moving to a town because the Halloween vibes are so good. Do you prefer the cozy side of fall or the spooky Halloween aspect? For me, I'm a fall girly in September and a Halloween girly in October. What is your all-time favorite book to read during Halloween? I love you. Thank you. I love you too. Discovery of Witches. Absolutely, hands down. Please read it. It's like Twilight, but for adults, but comparing it to Twilight doesn't even do it justice. You got vampires in Oxford, England, and witches, and lost manuscripts, and castles in France, and oh, it's so good. Do you expect trick-or-treaters this year? If not, what are your alternate plans for the evening? Sadly, we won't be getting any trick-or-treaters this year. Again, we've been married for 7, almost 8 years, and we have never had trick-or-treaters. We ran an apartment before, and our house here is quite rural out in the countryside, so we won't be getting any trick-or-treaters this year. I'm so sad. I even bought Halloween candy to give out just in case, but I really don't think we're gonna get anybody. So I think what we're gonna do is each get each other like our favorite childhood candy. Like from trick-or-treating, mine was always like Almond Joy and Twix, and Jared's more of like a Heath bar toffee guy. And then marathon Halloween, because we've not seen the first Halloween movie. I don't know how that happened. We've watched the sequels, but we've never seen the first one all the way through. So I think we're gonna do that. Ooh, I love this question too. Top 5 spooky books this year. Okay, I don't think you guys are ready for this. These are so good. I think my favorite spooky book of the year, okay, no, I don't think. I know that Slewfoot by Brom is my favorite spooky book of the year. You see, I don't have words because the experience reading this was like when you read a story and it just kind of follows the typical tropes or storylines, this happens and this happens and this happens. This book was like, I can't even imagine how the author came up with this story. It was out of this world. It was crazy. And the ending was just like, get it? Yeah, I'm not gonna swear on camera, but it was like, oh my gosh. If you like the vibes and aesthetic of The Witch, or just like 1700s New England Salem witch trials, it doesn't have the Salem witch trials in it, but it's that same type of vibe and time period, but also a woman getting revenge that she is so due, and also like magical spirit forests and demons and like witches. Oh my gosh. I think I'm gonna read it every single year now. Some of you guys tell me, oh, I wouldn't read that because that's a kid's book, or you recommend books that aren't for adults. And to you, I say, have you ever really read them? Because if you've read this book before and you weren't scared, then that's just not fun. Because like, this is spooky and scary. Let yourself be scared. The Haunting of Evelyn Jones is a ghost story set in southern England by the sea, And this book had me like checking the windows, checking the doors to make sure they were locked. I audibly had to like stop what I was doing and go like somewhere in a less big room because I was feeling scared. I was feeling scared when reading this. This book is a little bit gory. So it's about vampires, but it never says the word vampire in the book, which I think is a super cool and unique take on vampires. But it's also very gothic and historical and amazing. It's sapphic, but the romance is very, very much a subplot compared to the rest of the story. And that is House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. I thought that this was my favorite spooky read of the season until I read Slewfoot. That's how good this was. Marianne becomes a blood maid for the House of Hunger, which is this like amazing noble estate up in the north. And there's a countess there who it takes a liking to Marianne. But Marianne realizes there is a lot more going on at the House of Hunger than what she was told and what she was expecting. And it's so good. It's horrifying, but it's so good. And then, oh my gosh, I've read too many 5-star books this spooky season. Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. We've got a haunted house, but it's a sentient haunted house that's actually on their side. And it has such a sweet personality. But at the same time, they're like devils and really scary stuff living in like the basement, kind of. Not really the basement. I don't want to give too much away. Do you know Work Song by Hosier? That's how this book sounds. Like that's how it feels when you read it. I'm not going to talk too much about it. You can go look up the synopsis, but just know that this book broke my heart and put it back together again. I started reading it immediately after I finished it, and it made me feel like all of the spooky but cozy vibes all at the same time. I don't really know how it did that, but it did. And this book is incredible. That was a phenomenal question. Thank you for letting me talk about books for a bit. Another book question. What cozy mysteries do you recommend to fit the season? Thank you for asking. I have too many. I'm just gonna go off really quickly here. Murder at the Pumpkin Pageant. This is set during Halloween. It is super Halloween-y. Like, this is the perfect book to read during Halloween week. I'm reading this one right now, so I can't fully recommend it, but the vibes are vibing. This book is said to be spicy. People say about like two spice peppers out of 5. So maybe not super spicy, but then again, I don't really know the rating system. Maybe 2 is a lot, maybe 2 isn't a lot. But so far I haven't seen any spice. But every page I read of this, it's just more and more pumpkin spice hot chocolate, fall festival, leaves falling, brisk autumn wind. And she adopts a cat named Damien, who actually isn't a cat. He's a demon trapped in a cat's body. Super fun. And the cover is so cute. Scandalous Confessions of Lydia Bennet, which if you like Pride and Prejudice, but you also want something kind of witchy and spooky to read during this time of year, highly recommend this. Lydia Bennet is a witch and her sister Kitty is actually a cat. And Wickham is actually a demon, and it's such a good fun time. And one of my absolute favorite cozy books that I've read this year is Between by L.L. Starling. This book, oh, I've never read anything like it, but it kind of has the vibes of, like, I don't know, like The Labyrinth, but also like humor of like The Princess Bride or like Monty Python. Like the humor is so funny, and the main guy reminds me of Loki, kind of. The first part of it takes place in a town that feels like Stars Hollow. Actually run by a coven of witches. It's very Halloween-y. I actually think the first part of the book takes place during the week of Halloween. Just know that you've got drunk unicorns, bored dragons, sorcerers in like tights and leather pants. I love this book so much. The Vampire Knitting Club. This is one of the best cozy mysteries I have ever read. And I think it takes place during Halloween, but you've got vampires that run a knitting club, and it's kind of their like disguise for the fact that they're actually a group of vampires that sleep in coffins in the basement of the knitting shop at night. It is extremely wholesome and sweet, but the mystery actually kept me intrigued the whole time. Can you tell I'm getting so happy and hyped just talking about my favorite cozy books? It makes me so happy. Cider Mill Coven by Vanessa Abigail Lambert. I haven't finished this one yet because there's no audiobook, so I'm making my way through it physically really slowly. I'm dyslexic and I read slowly. So beautiful in this hardback edition. I love that it doesn't have a dust jacket. It's so, oh, I love it. Also, super cool because there is a Spotify playlist you can listen to while reading that the author curated to go along with the story. I'm just gonna read you the very first sentence right here. It says Halloween night. The three cousins played wildly under the night sky this Halloween, just as they had done every Halloween night at Grandma Lydia's since the year they were born. The moon's beam dimmed in comparison to the smiles on their faces as they ran about the orchard playing together as 8-year-olds do. They had a belly full of apple crumb pie and plenty of sweets from trick-or-treating downtown earlier. The sky, blanketed with stars above them, had reached its peak shade of darkness. They knew their time together was winding down. Authors who write stories like this really bring me so much happiness. What age did you stop trick-or-treating, and would you go now as an adult? This is actually a topic that I've been really thinking and pondering recently. I know that a lot of us millennials, and especially since COVID, a lot of us have kind of gone back to discovering things that made us happy as children. And I've found myself wondering and wishing why adults can't go trick-or-treating too. I think as long as you dress up and you say trick or treat and you put effort into going out, you know, designing your costume, like what would be wrong with that? I know that it's just like not done and like not right, but I just wonder why. I kind of wish that as a society we would change that. I think I stopped trick-or-treating when I was 15 or 16, which is still quite old, but in my neighborhood and where I lived, a lot of teenagers just went out, what we did, and I miss it all the time. Okay, if you were a ghost, what place would you haunt? Well, I would haunt wherever I died. If it was like a library or a really old bookstore, I think that would be a cool place to haunt, because if I ever get bored, maybe I could read the books, but then again, I don't think ghosts can touch the books, right? Can't, well, maybe. I don't know how that works. I mean, that wouldn't be a too bad a way to spend your afterlife. So, yeah. Those are all the questions. Thank you guys so much for asking those. I hope you guys have a great Halloween. Please go out and do the things that make you happy. Go have a picnic in a cemetery if you want. Don't worry about what people think. If you really want to go trick-or-treating, maybe take your dog or your cat. For us childless people who don't have children, they are our children. So, I mean, if you dress them up and maybe like give them a little sign around their neck that says trick or treat. Maybe not, but maybe. Like, I don't know. Can we do that? D'Artagnan would be so cute if he went trick-or-treating. Now I'm thinking about this. He can't speak though. But I'm sure there are children who go who can't speak. I could maybe take D'Artagnan, but then maybe that's offensive because he's not actually our kid. And we'd be going out where kids are trick-or-treating, and it's just like a cheap way to get candy. But like, how fun would that be though? And everybody would love petting him and he'd be so cute. I hope you do something that makes you happy. Everything must come to an end, and then we look forward to it again next year. A big thank you to my patrons in Honeywood Hollow for supporting my channel and making these videos possible. I love you guys, and I will see you very soon. Bye friends!